Well, if you were placing bets this morning on the provisional pole sitters for Le Mans, I think it's fair to say most of you would be going home empty-handed. It was the first of 2 qualifying days for the 92nd running of the 24 Hours of Le Mans, with the top 8 from each class moving on to the Hyperpole qualifying session on Thursday. Let's get right into it with the qualifying results from each class. Yes, you're seeing that correctly, it's the number 15 BMW on provisional pole after the hour-long session this afternoon. Dries Vanthoor put down a lap 3/4 of a second faster than the quickest time on day 1 last year, in what was really a shock performance for BMW M Team WRT. That team really hit the ground running today, with a 3rd place in the first practice session as well. Now, it was noted that they were running on a set of soft tires during their fastest lap, while most of the hypercar runners were on mediums, so I'm kind of curious what their outlook is for tomorrow and whether or not they'll actually expect to be in contention for the pole. Also looking really strong are the 2 Ganassi Cadillacs, both in the top 5 and moving on to the pole shootout. Bourdais, especially in the number 3 Cadillac, will be looking for a chance to finish the job from last year's Hyperpole session, where the car caught on fire during a potential pole run. Ferrari and Alpine both look fast as well, with Ferrari seeking to back up their pole position from last year, and Alpine barely missing the chance to get both cars in the top 8. If we want to talk about a day to forget, let's look at Toyota. With less than 3 minutes in qualifying today, Kamui Kobayashi was comfortably through to tomorrow in P4. His teammate Brendan Hartley in the number 8 car was back in 12th though, after struggling all session. He would be putting everything down on the last lap. Kobayashi ended up taking too much curb exiting the Porsche curbs while trying to improve his lap. He spun into the gravel, his car got beached, and the red flag came out. Now, Article 10.2.4 of the WEC regulations says that any car causing a red flag in one of the qualifying sessions will have all or part of its lap times deleted from that session, and they will not be allowed to rejoin the qualifying session. We saw the same thing at Imola this year with the number 15 BMW. They were ultimately allowed to keep their fastest lap. Today, the stewards did not rule as kind, and the number 7 Toyota had not just their fastest lap, but all of their laps from the session deleted. They'll be starting at the back of the class on Saturday. Everything in retrospect, sure, but I really don't understand why Kobayashi was pushing for a faster lap at the end of the session. He was almost certainly safe for tomorrow, and that one mistake not only forced them to the back of the class for the start, it guaranteed an 11th place start for the sister number 8 car. The one piece of hope I see for the number 8 crew is they had the fastest time in both practice sessions today by a fairly comfortable margin, and an 11th place start in a 24-hour race is not really a big deal, but it still leaves questions to be answered by the team. For LMP2, not near as much to discuss from qualifying today. In fact, it was a pretty uneventful session for everyone in LMP2, which I guess is not really a bad thing for anybody. Of course, this class is only racing at Le Mans in the WEC this season, so no points on the line for anybody. EDEC Sport will be looking to back up their pole from last year in the Hyperpole session, and a pretty disappointing result for CrowdStrike by APR, qualifying at the back of LMP2 with Colin Braun at the wheel. Not quite sure what led to them being so far off the pace in qualifying today, but almost 4 seconds off the next car in 15th. Finally, LMGT3, with 7 different manufacturers qualifying in the top 7. Only Aston Martin getting 2 of their cars into Hyperpole tomorrow. A huge mixed bag of results here, starting off with Ford fastest of the day, with the number 77 Proton Competition Mustang driven by Ben Barker. Credit to him, Ford looked pretty strong with the fastest time in free practice 2 as well, with car 88. They're followed up by perhaps another unexpected result, with a P2 for Inception Racing, bringing over their McLaren 720S GT3 from IMSA. In fact, it's hard to think of a clear-cut favorite in this class just based off the running from today. In fact, even the number 87 Akotis ASP Lexus led the first free practice session of the day, after having nothing but a dismal season in the WEC so far. I guess if there's one result I thought would be different, it's the 3 Ferraris in the bottom 4, one of which being the number 55 AF Corsa full season entry that's currently 8th in the WEC Championship. I really don't know which way this is going to swing tomorrow. I would have told you the championship leading number 92 Porsche going in. They're in the pole shootout tomorrow after qualifying 5th today, but I really think this is going to be anybody's guess for pole. And that's where I'm going to leave it for now. I'll have another recap after the Hyperpole session for all 3 classes, along with an episode of my podcast on Thursday night to give my thoughts in more detail. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you all then.